Awesome, everyone. Thank you for bearing with us through these amazing times. We are here with episode one of this e-commerce think tank. I'm so grateful to have these awesome dudes here with me. I respect these guys so much. We've got Chase Dimond over here. Chase is pretty much a email ninja, runs co-founder of Boundless Labs. Clients include The Chive, Ibex, Original Grain, so many more. Trusted advisor when it comes to email. We got good old Nick Shackelford over there. Spent the last 6 years fully immersed in performance marketing world. Fidget spinner fame, magnetic eyelash fame, and now just like founder fame with all the paraphernalia back in the background over there. All around amazing guy. I love this guy to bits. We got Patrick. I met Patrick actually at Ezra's Blue Ribbon event. We just got along like a house on fire. He's one of the co-founders of William Painter. Amazing guy, super smart. Respect all the opinions in this room right now so much. Guys, we got a lot of people really curious about what the hell is happening. It's funny. I'm so happy to see these faces, but I really wish the news headlines were like just different during these times. A big part of what we're going to be talking about today is effectively, what we're seeing out there in the world right now, how COVID-19 is affecting our world of e-commerce. I'd love to hear some solutions. We'll move then on into solutions in terms of what you're seeing, what your clients are seeing, how you guys are dealing with it in different ways. And then finally, we can talk about just, kind of licking your finger Nostradamus projections and predictions. And let's see where we think these things go. Everyone has such different perspectives and opinions and so many opinion pieces, right? We've got economists and virologists saying, hey, this is going to be over in a heartbeat. And then some other ones are like, Great Depression, this is horrible, and everything in between. So I'd love to hear you guys' opinions based off of the homework, research, and insights that you guys have as well. So, and then we'll end off with hopefully any questions that the everyone that's showing up on live here is joining us with. So let's kick off at the very, very start. What are you guys seeing right now? Feel free, any one of you guys, to jump in. What are you guys seeing right now in terms of with your clients, with your own brand over at William Painter, Patrick? What's happening, and then we can move into how are we dealing with it, even from a team standpoint, from a performance standpoint. Let's just open it up.
Yeah. So I'll give a little bit of not background myself, but background like what we're working with. So we work with e-commerce brands, physical products, some luxury, some necessity, some apparel. We're pretty diversified into what we're selling. We're not selling any courses. We're not selling any high-end anything. We're pretty much between an AOV of $25 to about $150, $200. That's our AOV. So everything that I'm speaking about, everything that I'm pulling insights from are within that understanding. And in the group already, I've dropped in 3 resources. They're not my resources. They're some that I kind of go to and kind of check what's happening. I will share my screen briefly just to go through some initial like actual performance stuff, and I'll jump back into like what my opinion is. I have a very unique opinion right now. Our company is about 9 to 10 people. We're already remote. We already had processes that were built in to be remote. We knew everyone's role being remote. So I'm coming from that stance of not going from a physical location, everybody teaming in to communicating remotely. And I know that in itself is something we should probably talk about. And I'm sorry, I'm nervous because my life is pretty day to day right now. So I have a comb in my beard. So with that being said,
you're rocking it, bro.
Man, anything right now to kind of make everyone calm themselves. So I'm gonna share my screen, guys. I'm sorry if it's a little bit small. I'll do my best to zoom in. And so you can see like what we're looking at. This is last month, and a lot of the dashboards that I have set up, it's really difficult to pull these specifically in a Facebook Ads Manager because a lot of these metrics I have to make them custom. If anybody has ideas or questions, Dee's really great at making these. I'm really great at making these. I'll help you kind of look through this stuff because this is the shit that matters to us unless you export and do it yourself. So this from last month, I'm going to stick with this first 4 buckets. Across our accounts, I think this is about 93. Some of them aren't active, but I would say more or less 50 to 60 businesses. 2 mil on an 8 spent overall, and then we go right into where we're currently at. That's what we're looking at, just in general. So I start with this and lead with this because it's just down. Like volume is just down in general. So if you go niche by niche, product by product, some people have better days, some people have worse days. I would say overall, our entire spend is down across the board. The range that I had and what I was initially before this week is actually picking up. I'm still understanding why that happened. Maybe more states are accepting the fact that they were nervous last week and bought all the things, and now they're calming down knowing like, hey, this is what our life is like for the foreseeable future. The metrics that we're actually paying attention to, I'm not going to fucking talk about CTR. I'm not going to fucking talk about CPM. I'm not going to fucking talk about CPC. It doesn't matter. It's cheaper. We get it. We fucking get it. The metrics that care for us is this right here. We found 4 brands that by performance, like depending on how you structure some of your ad accounts, you start turning off misperforming ads or underperforming ads. And if you look in the actual campaigns or ad sets, you can't see AOV in an ads manager. But when we started trending like, oh, that's an underperforming ad, we started killing it. And we started realizing that the entire account's overall AOV dropped because the pathway, for whatever reason, from that campaign to that ad set to the product, they weren't buying as much. And so we started looking through, why is this happening? It ended up finding majority of our ads top of funnel was running to like a product page where they didn't have the ability to add to cart, or they didn't have the ability to add more things and increase AOV, and they weren't running to bundles. So we had to pivot a large percentage of our brands, not new creative, not new comments, not new anything, just to get back to the collection page and homepage so that they can actually buy and add to cart. That's been the biggest thing, buy more and add to cart, apologize. So the AOV dropped, and I had something pulled up right here. The trends that we saw across our brands, week 1, 1 to 7, $76. It was about 6% down from the end of Feb. Then we saw it drop once more from an all-time low, about 8 to 14, which is pretty consistent to what we're seeing on like the overall omni-channel through the within report. Right around this part was, I've like to believe, at least on California and New York, was a little bit more of a panic. And so we saw that it was pretty consistent on our ads. And then the last week, we started picking up, at least from on a StructuredSocial side, we just started running a collection and having more people not go straight to product page. So we weren't going path of least resistance. We were going path of get lost on my website resistance, if you will. And then right now for the first 3 days, it's been a great launch. I'm hoping this stands. I'm still learning and trying to figure out why this is. I do believe it's because of the shifts we made in the first or in the second and third week of moving more to collection and higher AOV products. The biggest highlight, if I were to pull week over week, which you can here, I'll show you guys before we kind of shift off this nerd sesh. So as you can see, we're filtering by the most recent week. I'm just going to come into, and this is one of the, I'll scroll down product by product, but overall, we're looking at add to cart to purchase ratio down across the board, which is pretty consistent, 18%. And I know, D, you guys are seeing this too. You're just chatting about it. This is the only time it's been up. So 15%, and I'll go week over week real quick. Just pay close attention to what we're seeing. Again, this is the week that I thought things were going to get better. Still didn't peak. Week previously, 18. So I just see it's literally down across the board, week over week over week. And I look at this so consistently because we run a traditional store. We don't have many brands that are doing like a locked-in lander or an experience that way. We're pretty much just going the traditional store of like homepage, collection, single product pages. And we're just seeing across, it's a little bit lower in general. So how do we combat this? AOV plays. We're going bundles, we're going stock but save. A couple of our brands that can afford to do so, we're asking them to lower the free shipping threshold, because usually you use the shipping threshold because it's congruent, because 2 products will get them over that bump. It's an AOV bump play as well. That's why you can afford to do the shipping. We're asking them to lower it even more to see if they can get that incentivization to more people trying to buy. We're in it day to day. I honestly, I would say on the amount of spend that we're managing, we wake up going, okay, if we're confident enough in what yesterday was, we're incrementally scaling, or we're bumping budgets slightly. We're not going balls to the wall, because this leads me into a question that I'll probably pass to Patrick of, hey, what happens when you scale in this time, or you scale into this instance, but your manufacturer, the potential of cash flow might be coming really strenuous, and that's the really, really real conversation we're having with a lot of our brands of, yeah, we can scale now, but what if we fuck ourselves come April or May? I don't know. Sorry, guys, that was a lot.
It's some heavy shit. Heavy shit requires some massive heavy thinking. It's Patrick. You want to take that one?
I mean, I think there's a really interesting kind of paradox right now. Is you've got two sets of companies, three. You've got massive guys with no supply chain issues, because they can get things from wherever. They have just a top of funnel budget to just kind of shotgun out. You're seeing that with the major brands, and then so those guys have no supply chain issues, or if they do, they can fix them quickly with money. And then you have brands that are behind the curve, where they didn't order, and this thing, if a lot of people make things overseas, like 99.9% of things, it got stopped right at Chinese New Year. So that was a halt on a lot of things. So if you weren't ready, or if you weren't ordered prior, that was a dangerous time, because, and still is. Now they're coming back online. We all know that that's what companies are getting back to, because overseas figured out how to kind of, stop this really quick. Well, not really quick, but stop it enough at least to be able to get back to work. So to me, that's the thing I've seen, that now that companies, that now front-loaded companies that already have inventory, now the deal is, how do you turn that inventory into the green stuff that allows you to pay your staff and employees and keep yourselves living and eat Chipotle and maybe a guacamole on it, like that's kind of the deal. So I think that to me is like the biggest thing, is seeing the difference between the actions of those three parties. One is going to burn it down, just because, not burn it down, but burn their cash into the ground as much as they can, just because it's top of funnel. There's people are dialing back, as Nikki said, some people are dialing back, or getting more niche. And then you have the guys that are going to be inventory constrained. And so now it's like, okay, well, you're going to scale. What happens when you scale? I mean, yeah. You and I have pretty familiar knowledge with last year with us. We grew in some sort of a fashion in which we were not inventory constrained for like 9 months of the year. So that's like the best thing ever, but also it's not at all a gift and a curse. So to stack up on inventory and have that, but then the question is, how do you then manage that? You have money, but it is in two forms. One is the cash kind, and you're trying to order and get stuff and get it here, which is hard to do. And then the other one is actual goods on hand that you have and you need to get rid of, and you need to do it in an efficient manner. AOV, all those things you have to drop, raise AOV, but drop CTA, all your other acronyms you want to go through that you're just not going to talk about. But like, I agree that you have to go through that. So I think there are three camps, and that's what I'm noticing, is watching the big boys burn it with gasoline because they can, and watching the guys who are inventory constrained dial back on everything, and then watching guys who are not inventory constrained running different strategies that I think some work, some don't, and it's going to be a kind of a culling of the herd, so to speak, especially among e-com brands that are vertical, horizontally integrated, But so, I mean, yeah, that's my 2 cents, at least at the moment. And again, that changes by like another 30 minutes or so. We'll see how it changes from now till then. So.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it really is. It really is day to day. It really is watch and see what economic moves are being made the next day. What kind of lockdown statuses are being rolled out state by state. It's a bit easier here to keep a handle on number of states here in Australia compared to the US. We don't have 50 of them, so it's a bit easier there. Chase, on your side with email, what are you seeing? What are you seeing there? Naturally with email, it is a very different dynamic to most people that are used to running acquisition side. You're focusing very much on, hey, you're already through the door, let's get you moving and let's get that circulation going. What are you seeing on your side, Chase?
Yeah, absolutely. And again, what I'm going to share is generalized across the board. Obviously, we do have a lot of clients that are up. We have some that are constant and some are down. But really what I'm seeing is email conversions as a percentage are down. However, in most cases, email revenue is constant or up. So what I mean by that is the number of people purchasing on each email is lower. However, we're combating that by sending more campaigns. So previously, if a client sent 2 campaigns per week and it drove $10,000, we're now having to send 4 campaigns per week to drive that same revenue. But the underlying thing there is we're still able to drive revenue, right? So it is more work, but people still are buying. And much like Nick, most of the AOVs that we're seeing sell fairly well and quickly are probably between about $30 to $75. We do have some clients that are still selling, $100, $150, but I would say really that's our sweet spot. I am going to share my screen really quickly, kind of put together just a few numbers across the board. So I'm really just focused here. You guys can see my screen, okay?
Yeah, you're on.
Yep.
Cool. So like in the health and wellness space, for one of our clients, basically what I did here was looked at this past February versus February of the year before. So email revenue was up 21% this February over last February. And then this March over last March, we are up as well. And then February of this year to March of this year, we're up. And again, it's only been, I took these dates as of yesterday. So we are up on this health and wellness brand. So no surprise there. On kind of wallets and accessories, we are up on both of these year over year. We are down, however, on this brand last month compared to this month, right? So you can see for this month so far, we've done about 15,000, and last month we did about 43. So this is one of the brands that it's down.
Is it volume? Like, are you pumping more volume than Mo?
So yeah, so very much to that point, like a lot of this also calculates like what's happening top line, right? Email is so dependent on top of the funnel in a lot of cases where it mirrors it, right? So typically most of our clients are doing about 25 to 30% of their total revenue from email. So I do know total revenue is down for this brand as well. I don't know how much it's down as much. I was just focused mainly on the email. But Nick, to your point, like I'm assuming that the top line probably is down as well. Here was a brand where it doesn't really make sense to go for because last year they didn't have any email, but I wanted to illustrate that last month compared to this month, right, we're up. So again, across the board, things are pretty good and standing pretty constant in most cases. One thing I have noticed is that the engagement of email, so people opening and clicking through, although conversions are lower, that engagement's actually higher, right? People are bored, people are on their phones, people are kind of just looking for entertainment. So I've noticed the open rates and the click-throughs across all clients are almost at level or above, which is very positive.
Interesting.
Yeah, that is super interesting. I actually wrote a piece last week or the week before. I don't even remember. I feel like I'm in some kind of time warp now. That I went away, did a bunch of research, looked at what China's it's so wild. Apple retail stores and Starbucks are opening up in China again as of last week or the week before. So I'm looking to them as the first country to go through the entire curve, right? From full lockdown, quarantining everyone, super harsh quarantining restrictions, and then now everyone's just bursting out and opening out again. So did research there, looked at Nielsen. They did a CPG consumer study and mapped those two together and came up with these, what I call like the 5 stages of consumer behavior, where we go from early infection rate, everyone wants to, government goes, everyone don't panic, keep spending your money, keep going out, got to keep the economy going. And then the next part is, oh shit, there's something here. They're trying to balance that two sides of the coin, medical versus economic. It's the same coin, it's just two sides. And then at some point they may be forced to go into full lockdown. I mean, New Zealand just went full lockdown as of their Wednesday midnight. Everyone is literally, their prime minister said in a text message to all citizens, a whole bunch of instructions it was really clear. Where you sleep tonight will be where you will be for the length of this lockdown. And the next text was, everyone act as if you already have COVID-19. So really clear instructions. She's choosing to lock everything down so that they can shorten the amount of time that they can get over it, which is what the thesis is. So then you move into stage 4 and 5, which is we start relaxing quarantining because countries believe they have a handle on it. And then this stage number 5 is coming back into what Nielsen calls the equilibrium, to the new normal. However, looking at that study, the big question mark is, what is the economy going to look like when we come out of it from a medical standpoint? And what can the market actually bear at that point? So it's really interesting to hear what you guys are saying on various different levels. in terms of like Nick, you just seeing that percentage just dip time and time again. And the big question mark for everyone is not necessarily the stages, it's the duration, right? Like how long can we actually bear this for on the supply chain side for e-commerce, but then also on the same at the same time, the what the market can actually bear. What does demand look like when we come out the other side, and as we're going through this as well. So I think those are really interesting times. What in terms of let's stay with what we're seeing right now just for a moment before we move on to the next piece. How are you guys dealing with it from a team standpoint, morale standpoint, from a keeping sane and keeping it's, so I speak to my peers and I'm suffering through the same thing right now. My brain goes through, let's brace for the worst. And then at the same time, my brain oscillates to, there's going to be so much opportunity here. How do we capitalize on this at this time? And it's a very exhausting place to oscillate from. How are you guys, I'm going to open it up to all of you. How are you guys dealing with this right now? Any one of you?
Yeah, on my end, starting with the team, right? Obviously, team is clearly panicked. Everyone's frightened, right? I think the big thing, especially being remote, right, is over communicating and being very transparent. Not that we weren't transparent before, but we're definitely starting to share more things with our team than we probably would have otherwise. So anytime we get like an inbound lead coming in of the past few weeks, we're telling these people like, hey, just to let you know, we haven't signed this client, but this is a new lead and new prospect. And I think just the fact that people still want to work with us and our business actually is still growing, even in this scary kind of crazy time, I think is a lot of reassurance for the team. So I think that's one. I think two, we're having daily check-ins with the team now. Before we'd have kind of like a weekly set call. Now every single morning we're having a check-in with the team, just really asking everyone how they're feeling, right? Less about the work that they're working on and more just asking them, emotionally and mentally, how are you? What things can we take off your plate? Can you get groceries? Are there things that we could ship to you, right? So I think for us, really, we've gone above and beyond kind of on the human level. And me personally, I'm reaching out to people on Slack one-on-one. I'm calling people that I wouldn't have normally called and just being there as a support system and as a friend. So for us, I think that's been really important for kind of boosting morale. So I'd say that. And then on the client side, I think really just doubling down for them and letting them know that, yes, we are a great partner before, but we want to be an even better partner now is so crucial. And we're actually staffing up. We're at about a team of 7 right now. We're adding 3 or 4 more people over the next 1 or 2 weeks to be able to add more support to the existing clients. So we're kind of putting a pause on new clients. We are taking a few new ones on, but we're more focused on the existing. So those are kind of what we're doing, both the team and the client side, to make sure that everyone's feeling okay.
Amazing. Patrick, Nick? There's that beat.
No,
there's that beat. There's the 3-second beat.
The beat. 1, 2, 3. No. I agree with the sentiments, Tyler. I was actually letting Nick speak because I couldn't tell if the pick was in his beard or not. So, but I didn't know if it was serious. No, I'm the same way. We have a really small team. We don't use Slack, but I mean, same thing. I communicate every single day with pretty much every member on the team. It's vital. This is kind of, and it's not just member on the team. It's the same thing that Chase is saying about email. I mean, it's like our strategies have completely changed. Not completely changed, just doubled down, as he said, on it's like it's almost depressing for us to say that we're doubling down on caring and being better. That's like a depressing thing for me to have to say, like, oh, we're being better than we were because of a traumatic event for the entire world. But I think that is exactly what we have to do. It's the only way to survive this thing is a tribe mentality, and I think that's the way this has to go. I mean, isolation from a tribe was how we used to kill people. If you read history books, I mean, it's like you're just out. They don't really worry about anything because they don't worry about you because you're gone. So yeah, having the connectivity, having the connections, like not knee-jerk reaction stuff, like that's something I'm really working on a lot. I mean, a lot of like Nick kind of know about. I do ice baths and meditation and like all kinds of stuff just to calm myself every day. And I share that now. I'm sharing that more than ever with everyone, which I should have shared before, but now I'm sharing more than I would is like, hey, this is how we're trying to keep calm. We're trying to make sure that, we're communicating with our customers, not in a like, hey, congrats, like we're doing half off everything. The world's going crazy. we're just being much more open to like, how are you doing, we even set up like Chase was saying, we set up a do you need someone to talk to email, right? And we've got like Robbie who does a lot of our Facebook advertising. Nick knows him, and Robbie's just answering like 7-year-old kids to a literal mall Santa Claus who wears our glasses, and he's 75 years old, and like they're both scared, right? And they're just emailing, like it's just, hey, like yeah, we absolutely, we're like, yeah, you want to talk to someone, like sure. We're getting hundreds and hundreds, like we're getting like a bunch of emails in from people. There's like, I just, like you said, I got time at home. Now I have time. The idea of I'll meet you back when I'm not busy is not that works now. You're done with your puzzle and your girlfriend wants to kill you because you've been around her too much. So, or whatever. So it's something that I think is really important to communicate with the team. Social has been huge for us. I mean, just having like open dialogue with them, I mean, it's like, you paused, I paused, we all paused when that question's asked. And I think it's silly to kid ourselves and be like, oh no, I totally know what this is like. This is like '08, or this is like that or that. And it's like, oh no, actually it's not. And so I think that the larger ethos, is just being, compassionate with your customers, with the actions you take. Stillness, a lot of stillness is involved in this. I think that, knee-jerk reactions, like, oh, we're gonna cut all this, or we gotta do that, or abandon ship, whatever it is. I think it's like everything deserves time and a second look, because we don't know what's gonna happen. And so doing things out of a knee-jerk reaction, to me, is those things have a butterfly effect that can really, whatever happens either way, it's not going to be a positive effect if you're just creating enemies rather than, working with people that you care about, working with your, the things that actually, like Nick and I were saying before we got on, the things that are actually working, your staff that is vital. You know what I mean? Like, it's like you're saying, Chase, same thing. You're like, how are you doing? And I don't mean like with that project that's in a sauna. I mean, I'm like, how are you doing as a human being? Like, you have a kid, you got things on your mind that are a little bit more important than this. And same with our customers. But the resounding answer back is like, thank you, because like I'm down for a sale or a discount, but I'd rather like communicate about my stress for what's going on. I think it's like, it's a good outlet, because we can show that isolation clearly is causing people a little bit of a attitude change.
Absolutely. What about Nick, for you? You're on your audio is like cut out, bro.
Got me? Am I good?
Oh, there you go. You're back.
So for the brands that we're talking with, obviously we don't own a brand. We have one brand that we own, but across our clients or our employees, every employee we talk with on a daily basis, we have a team Slack. Hey, how are you? Let's find a time to take a walk and talk. On the clients, we've been very, very upfront with them, going, we haven't gone through this before. I've never lived through a recession. I'm 29 years old. The last recession was gradual. This was pretty much overnight. And we have a different perspective because obviously my lady and I, we own a women's clothing store, a physical store where we're doing $1,000 to $3,000, $1,000 to $2,000 a day, down to $100, right? We're not essential. We can't be open. We're in Orange County, California. So that's been interesting to see, like the actual stress in my household. And then the stress on our client side is I'm pretty much asking and going, listen, what does cash flow look like? We want partnerships. If we have to defer, if we have to go net 60, if we have to go net 90, we're okay, right? We're a lean team. And it's funny because depending on the person that asks me, because a lot of people are asking, how are you, in an inquisitive way to know, like, can I go sweep up some of your employees?
No.
Or like, oh, for sure. Or people going land grabs. Hey, my free open thing is free right now. 2 weeks, you can jump in, but then I'm gonna have to charge you. Like, this has been the biggest thing that's been pissing me off, is when I look at brands going, hey, I'm willing to offer this because I know it's a time of need, but I'm gonna payment gate it. And if you want it after these next couple of weeks, you're gonna have to pay me to stay within this. But I really do love you and care for you right now. That's a huge issue, right? If you care for someone right now, you got to care for them even when it gets good again. You can't all of a sudden put a price on it. I understand businesses need to exist and run, but at least in the world that we live in, for brands that we're communicating, if you don't have an already existing Facebook group around your mission, around the product that you have, this is the time to do it. It's an easy excuse, for lack of a better term, to let them know, hey, we're all around this one mission. I'll use William Painter for this specifically. You're a brand that likes to live. You're a brand that likes to have a good time. let's talk about all the good times that you're about to have. I posted this on my Facebook yesterday. What is the first thing you're going to do after you get out of quarantine? 200 comments, right? And I'm not saying this as an example, but I'm saying like that question and that community in the comments gives us two understandings. One, now you're letting people be a little bit wishful thinking, a little bit of escapism, right? Second, now you're getting ideas that maybe I can insert myself in my creative. I can insert myself as an experience. I can insert myself as a giveaway and let them forget about the fact that I'm going to wake up and I'm going to take 2 walks. I'm going to go buy somewhere local and I'm fucked for the rest of the day, right? I saw someone put, I kind of had an internal chuckle. Then I realized real quick of like, oh, this isn't a joke. She goes, what time should I change out of my quarantine pants and go into my suit pants? I'm like, that's a real question. And that's sad, but funny. So that's something that everybody else is dealing with as well.
I've got pants on right now. It's the first time in a week, man. So like,
Thank you.
Thank you. I put them on just for this.
Yeah, amazing. I feel honored.
For our brands, I'm asking them to go, guys, a discount's great. I think, Pat, you said a discount is fantastic. Everybody's obviously cash flow, focus on that cash flow. I think Trump, at least on the state side, trying to give away $1,200 for, I think, a salary under 75K, or for small businesses, the loans are going to go out. There's a couple of resources that I think I shared. I'll share it again. Our lawyer just hit us with a really good.
Got the same one.
Yeah. Our lawyer hit us with a deck going like, hey, here's what you as an employer can do. Here's what you have. Here's your employer or your employees. Here's what they can do in a time of need. So I'll drop this in. It is, I think, particular to the States, but fuck it. I mean, somebody can learn from this.
Well, if you're watching this, you're in California. You're gonna directly be able to use this, and if you're not, at least you're gonna be able to proxy what Nick is gonna drop anyway.
Yeah, I'll drop it right now as we speak.
Amazing.
And actually, I'll share. We'll get to you guys regardless. So
absolutely.
We're running for stock up and save. We are doing our best to not have to address and say avoid COVID. Like, we're not talking about COVID, but the terminology has changed to work from home, being at home, spending more time with our loved ones, because those are the actual benefit of what we're doing right now. And I actually think the winners of this is our dogs. Like, if you're a dog brand, you've never spent more time with your pets. If you're you can only look at your phone and scroll so long before you actually have to look at and have a combo. So those are things that we're trying our best to incorporate and somehow put it with making purchases. On the health and beauty wellness side, I think communicating on creating your own med spa at home is super vital. Obviously, workout and apparel. We do know majority of the trends that are getting affected are the apparel people. People that work out at gyms are still having to work out at home. So if you already have pre-existing influencer relations, we're advising every single person to start working with takeovers and letting them lead all these Zoom calls, Instagram workouts, you name it. I think that's the real time for these influencers to come through, because nobody's shooting product, nobody's shooting content unless you're an influencer, right? You can still seed product to these people, and a lot of the UGC rise could be happening right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think the only other thing I wanted to add, and I know we talked about it, the 4 of us earlier, is I think the importance of having mentors, and I think the importance of having people outside your own business to really chat with, to be much like you organize this. Nick and I have 1 or 2 calls every single day. We both take a walk, we both get outside and really just exercise and clear our mind. And we kind of really just are transparent and check in with like how things are going, where it could help him, where it could help me. And just chatting through it with someone else that has a different mindset and perspective is so helpful. So again, really appreciate you organizing this. And I think people should be doing this every single day with 1 or 2 people that they trust.
Yeah,
absolutely. Which brings us to a really interesting juncture, Patrick. If you want to share checking in with your philosophy mentor, I think there are a lot of learnings that people can take out of that just to add to their own practice of staying sane right now.
Yeah, sure. I mean, agreed. It's talk therapy is what you guys are saying, right? I mean, that's the whole point is you need to be able to communicate with your cohorts, with your group, and I think that's something that, I philosophy professor, I'm like, hey, I know you got time because you're not teaching. So let's chat. And I got another friend that does some branding for Apple, and even them, it's Apple, right? They got more cash than anyone, but at the same time, they're still rattled. This is a crazy time. So to kind of be able to talk to those people, and some of it's just for affirmation. You're just looking for someone to say, yeah, like I feel the same way. I understand what's going on. And then the biggest thing is just that kind of stoic philosophy of just, being still, not making decisions, quickly out of ego or fright, or just all these different things that are happening. That we're talking with guys who are contractors or whatever, and they're getting fired left and right. And it's like you can freeze, you can negotiate, you can do the best you can. I mean, again, we're coming to a point to where everyone has to work to. I mean, I agree that there will be a lot of people that are totally full of shit here in this whole everyone has to work together idea, and aren't actually looking out for anyone else. And that will the tribe mentality will kind of cull the herd, so to speak. And I don't mean to be like cruel on that, but I think in a way it is somewhat needed, that people that care about each other and really respect and work together and are willing to bend and move, and everyone has to flex with each other. And you can communicate with those people. I think that's been our philosophy from the beginning. But being able to do that, it's like, oh, what are you worried about? There's plenty of guys that are, oh, you can put off bills, you can put off these things, you can cut expenses that aren't essential. Don't cut staff that aren't essential. Don't cut marketing budgets. Don't do what the big boys did back in the day that just drowned everyone. Like that quick reactionary, pull everyone in the war room and just start blasting things is not the strategy to have here. And it's flexing, because every day it changes, it moves all the time. Like you're saying, D, like there's legislation coming out. So Nick has some, I have some. That stuff may be valid in California, might be somewhere else. But being calm, and the biggest thing is like, I'm like, what is someone going to say when you call them to say, hey, I got to move this, or we need to do slow this down, or speed this up, whatever it is. People are they're willing. It's like no one is saying I don't want to work, like I don't want clients. It's not, those phrases aren't said. And we all want to work. That's why we're all on here talking. And I think that's something we want to do, is work together. But it's kind of it's a double-edged sword. Like I don't like it, but at the same time, the culling of the herd is, it's kind of like the, they called it, what was like the cousin killer. It's like, my cousin, he just works for me. Like, like, oh, well, doing what? I don't know. And it's like, well, that ain't going to happen anymore. Cause now he's not valid, and so it's really going to clean up things. And so I see, advertising budgets changing. I see the guys who are the little guys become the bigger guys, because there's room, and things start dropping out, because people just can't survive a war of attrition like this. And if you do go to war, then you will lose a lot. And that, I think, to me is vital. You have to lean on, like we were talking about before we got on the call. I mean, if you have two legs to walk, like, why cut them off? Why cut one off at the knee? There's no, like, you got two legs still. So keep doing what you're doing. I think it's staying still, staying focused. And to me, it's like you said, relying on mentors. I mean, as much as I can. And it's something that, like you said, hasn't been seen since the Great Depression. I've talked to people who know about the Great Depression, and they haven't seen it. So we're not, like, we're past that. This is the largest point of connectivity to disconnectivity in the history of mankind. Never happened has there been more connection and then disconnection at one time. And I think that is something that is rocking everyone, and we just have to flow and flex and realize that everyone's stressed and everyone's feeling away. And you wake up each day like, oh, it's Groundhog Day, only a little bit worse today, or whatever. And then some days it's up and some days it's down, and there's just no way to kind of to really adjust. I mean, like, not adjust. There's a way to adjust, but to account for the future, to account for those things. I think it's just anyone says they're sure is to me immediately out, because no one is sure of anything. And so I think that it's something to be calm, calculated, and then just working together with your clients, working together with your team, like Chase is saying. I agree, like open communication. I mean, read, go read the hard thing about the hard things, right? I mean, it's like those guys, Andreessen and all those guys. I mean, they're like, we share everything because we have to, because like, this is a client and this is the way we're going to stay alive. And if you guys enjoy this work thing, we're going to get this client, or we're going to do these things, and we're going to be good, better than we were before, outperform, whatever it is, get scrappy, cut things down. I think it's just, these are massive, like, overarching, kind of, 60,000 foot view. But I think that is the feeling that I've got from everyone who's in the, kind of business philosophy world of, we don't know, like, we kind of got to just play this how it goes. And, the Ray Dalios and all those guys are even those guys are going, man, like, when you hear Ray Dalio pause, you're like, oh, wait, what? Why did he just do that? That's scary. Oh my God. But that's it. The fact that you don't know, in a way, leads to ultimate freedom, because if no one knows, then you can choose it. And if you can choose it, it's, you know, hopefully you choose the right direction of working with people and communicating a lot. You could choose the other route. And the nice thing is, I think that the selfish, you know, takers, Nick was saying, the guys that are going to jump on and say, all right, you know, we're going to give you a little pause, but we're going to hit you with the full bill in this certain amount of time or whatever, like they'll be gone. They just won't last because no one's going to jump on that. You know, it's like, you're not, it's the kindness and compassion is not like, that's what'll pay for the future. You know, the understanding, willingness to work with each other. That's the flexibility that everyone has to have. Without that, I think that's the philosophy going forward. And that's, you know, like with my team, with the customers, with everything, it has to be good clients and, you know, agencies, everything that we work with, it has to be, everything has to be flexible. Cause, you know, I mean, it's like, how's rent going to get paid? I don't know. Cause we don't know. So
Absolutely. It's definitely uncertain times, and I totally agree with you. Anyone that says absolutely sure, you know, like this is what's going to happen, and they come across with this surety, I go, wait a second, there are too many people that are saying unsure right now, that are very trusted authorities on the subject of XYZ, and yet, you know, when these people come out and put their firm stance on it, that's when I get really shaky on them, in terms of how well they're able to, how well researched they are and all that. But I think that the other thing also is, during this time of uncertainty, it's really calling for great leadership. Everyone right now is, you know, it's like a bomb goes off, everyone looks to one another, and we're just trying to find someone who looks certain, and we'll just follow behind that person wherever they're going. That's what I'm seeing with the mass populace. That's what I'm seeing in the business industry as well. I mean, even locally here, with you know, within the startup space, I'm speaking to a few, I guess, legacy, if you will, startup mentors. Those have been around for a while, and they're seeing the phenomenon where most founders are, instead of proactively planning or war rooming and figuring out what the hell the next step is, they're just frozen in their steps. They're just trying to look for, wait a second, who should I copy now? It's exactly that meritocracy of the people that know what's going on. They have a plan. This is when they can act and roll with the punches accordingly, because they're just not going monkey see, monkey do. This is keeping me alive and surviving and thriving for now. I just have to mirror this guy and that gal and whoever. Now it's, wait a second, no one knows. So there's no one to mirror, really, in a lot of ways.
Rules.
No rules. Exactly. It's just like, you know, first episode of UFC, only two people walk in and one person walks out. Beyond that, there are no rules, right? So, and also at the same time, because people are so frozen, I think, you know, you bring up a really good point around just making decisions in a panic state is when you're the least resourceful. So, you know, massive layoffs, and when if your cortisol is through the roof, the last thing you're doing is making any type of rational decision whatsoever, as opposed to getting that under control and seeing the path for what it is as best as you can, understanding that. And this is a really interesting dynamic, which I think we can segue into, you know, how we're solving it now. We've kind of covered that already, but what we anticipate to be next. It does seem like, in a lot of ways, rolling with the punches requires a really new discipline of, wait a second, how do I plan when I don't know tomorrow?
Yeah.
So how do I plan to roll with the punches and work that into my discipline, work that into my business planning, personal planning, brand planning? How do we shift into those areas? So I think now might be a good time to start moving into that world, and also, you know, what we think is going to happen next week, 3 weeks, 5 weeks. Where do we think this is going?
Yeah, I would love to take the route of just telling people, again, like what's working. And I'd love to even kind of show people some examples of campaigns and content that we're sending on email, if that's okay, just so that way people can wrap their head around kind of the tone and the voice and like what they should be sending. Is that cool?
Yeah, please.
Okay, cool. So, I mean, again, like for anyone that's new on right now, I really think now is the time to double down on email, but obviously, right, don't be distasteful. So there's definitely a way to go about it. So for us personally, we're encouraging kind of our clients and our team to really lean into campaigns over the next few weeks to drive revenue, to kind of help keep businesses afloat, but really leveraging a new approach kind of in the tone, right? So a lot of the tone now is going to be focusing on community kind of what's happening behind the scenes, kind of any education, any kind of comedy, right? So for example, like we work with, you know, a hydration company, and a lot of our quarantine campaign ideas are things like, you know, at home workouts. Remember to keep yourself hydrated throughout the day because it's going to be so important to do whatever you're doing. You know, things like how to increase your work productivity with hydration, like what our work from home setup looks like, kind of our routine, and kind of each person on the team's favorite flavor that they sell, right? So those are kind of some of the things that we're doing. And I'd love to now show kind of some examples from each of these buckets. I'm going to start sharing my screen. So these are some campaigns that we're seeing work really, really well. We're kind of sharing some things that our customers are liking in these times. So for example, for one of our hydration clients, let me see if I can make this bigger. Right. So again, we're just no sales. We're not being pushy. We're just saying, hey, here are how kind of our clients and our audience is feeling about our products. So this is kind of a great email for people to be sending, just customer favorites or even team favorites. So this is one example. Some other examples are any kind of indoor activities that people could be doing and maybe your product could tie in. So for example, you know, Magic Spoon is talking about like, hey, you know, if you're at home, why don't you leverage, you know, some of these recipes, right? So sharing recipes with people. We have a client that has kind of like this indoor volleyball set, right? So take the fun inside. You know, there's still things that you could do. We have a client that sells weighted blankets, right? So we're talking to people about how they could use their weighted blanket for a movie night, right? So we're really trying to make people's time indoors a little bit more exciting and really tie in campaigns with that. Dee, is it cool if I show a couple other buckets?
Go ahead.
Cool. Again, like right now, awesome. So right now it's spring, right? So with some clients, we are giving out discounts and just talking about, you know, spring cleaning, and we're giving people 15% off. So we still are moving forward with spring emails. This wasn't one that we built, but I really like this email from, you know, Native Deodorant, just talking about, you know, spring and different, you know, types of things. So again, not pushy, not super salesy, not in people's face, but just kind of a great email that I think at the very least people want to see and open because it looks great. Let's see. Work from home tips, right? So all things I already mentioned, I'm just kind of now showing you guys what these emails look like so you can kind of wrap your heads around like what you should be looking like. So how to work from home, begin with the right mindset, right? Create an effective work environment. So again, I hope this was helpful. Just kind of wanted to share with you guys that now is the time to double down on email. Don't be distasteful. Definitely send campaigns. Maybe send more campaigns than you used to or you like sending. And yeah, those are kind of the main ones. The other things, actually, a couple others is like, now's a great time. People are going to be doing video at home for the first time. Here's like a great email on like how people can prep themselves for video calls to look and feel their best. For some of our clients, we're showing like what the team is actually wearing. Send my connections unstable, sorry guys. So basically talking about wardrobes and kind of building collections for at home so people feel their best and look their best. So just things like that. Oh, here it is. So here's someone on the team kind of wearing one of the products and just talking about what she's doing. So I know that was a lot, but just kind of wanted to share with you guys a little bit about like what we're sending and kind of what's working. So I really do believe that now is the time to double down on community, right? Put them first, stay top of mind. When things get better, that's when you're really going to win. When you're there for people during the hard times, that's when they remember. It's very easy to be there for them when things are good. And just be human, right? Ask for help. We're seeing family and friends and family promotions working well. So that's kind of on my end, how we're focused and what we're seeing and what people should be doing.
Amazing.
Yeah, so I would say on ours, we're reevaluating a little bit of like where our cutoff metrics are in terms of how much spend we can put in, what are like CPA targets, cost per added cart, initiate check on CPA. So we have a template. I've shared this a couple of times, but it's something that means a lot to me and something that works, at least when we're making decisions and accounts. D, I'll make sure I make a brand new one and link it to you. So let me just delete.
Amazing.
And, so essentially what we're looking at, I know it might be a little bit hard for everyone to look at, so I'll zoom in specifically. All it is a dashboard. You're gonna grab it from Facebook, line these up specifically across in your dashboard in Facebook. And what it'll do, it'll spit out some of these correlations, because we did talk about in the report of add a cart to initiate checkout, landing page to initiate checkout, and purchase. But what it doesn't really give you is like when you should be cutting or turning off your metrics. I would pull what you do in February. I would pull what happened in January. And I would pull, if you have enough sample data, week over week in March. As frequent as possible. This is what we do probably on a weekly or, well, it was a monthly. Now it's kind of on a weekly basis for our brands. And all we're trying to understand is like where we can make these cuts. So with the current data we have in here, you're able to see like, what are these ratios? If someone clicking, are they going to add it to cart? These metrics are super important, as kind of what Chase was alluding to. If you can win on email and we don't have to spend as much on paid social, you have a better chance of kind of weathering through the storm without having to like get rid of cash flow. Spend it on your own subscriber list. And so based on the AOV, you can kind of put in your ROAS target. You do need to understand a little bit of your delayed attribution. So we have that on that first page. So follow along. Again, it's pretty straightforward, pretty easy. I would choose, make sure campaigns that spent over $200 to $500 so your data isn't too skewed. If I need a 1.5, it'll tell you, it'll make it full adjustments on when you should be cutting your decision. This is something that's helped us. Every time we get a brand, when do you cut it? When do you scale it? How can you work with it? That's kind of where we're going back to the basics. I will tell you, it hasn't been as bad on the paid social side other than volume, right? We've been discussing a couple people in our industry, two dudes that I really, really respect, David Herman and John Max Bowling. What we've been talking about is how can we run some lead gen campaigns along the side? Because right now, cost per landing page view is the cheapest I've ever seen it. So we're running 3 tests top of funnel. First one, lead gen with just a collection landing page. I don't have any specifics of what you communicate here because it's going to depend on the product and offer. But the point is, get them. We just want them to sign up. We just want the email. That flow in the back, and I think Chase could give me a little bit of context here. That needs to have its own flow and segment out. People might not be buying right now for fear of what the economy is, for fear of not having a job, but it doesn't mean they don't want to buy. I'm not saying we do a giveaway. I'm not saying we offer anything free. I'm just saying if you'd like to hear from us about what's coming forward, please sign up and we'll build that cohort. It's extremely cheap, especially right now. We have 2 campaigns running reach and traffic top of funnel. Now I'm going to go on the record. I'm not saying these are going to be the best things you've ever done, but they are extremely, extremely cost effective. Our average added cart is 1/4 of what we have if we are running with your regular conversions. Conversions is already cheap enough. So if you can afford to run a couple of tests, $50, $100, wherever you can afford, it's worth it. Take your best audience with your best creative and just run optimizing for reach and traffic. Again, I'm going to go on record. I'm not saying this is going to outperform everything, but it is going to fill up your bottom of funnel. Lastly, we have great partners that we've worked with on the text messaging side. There's Live Recover, there's Attentive, there's Postscript. People are at home. If they're not texting you back, baby girl, he's just not that into you. Like, that's just straight up. But they will be responding to you. People have their phones so consistently. Now of any time is when you want to kind of hit them with the text message. There are things that apply on your region and your state. And I think that's like, I don't want to overwhelm people. I don't know how long this is going to last. I feel confident that you're able to adjust with this. This is the time, if anything, to kind of like reload the chamber, because you're going to be able to build a great new processes. I know now now I'm starting to see issues within my team of going like, wait, you didn't know that was happening? How did you not know that was happening? And she goes, well, you didn't have the right document, right? So now I'm having to go back and reanalyze all the right documents. I'm having to go back and look at all my normal flows. And it's just kind of like siphoning out all the issues that we already had. But since business was good or business was usual, we never really had to focus on it. So if anything, and reflecting on what I'm hoping to get out of the next, because shit, we're in LA, so we've already kind of been on lockdown. I'm expecting that at least kind of what the mayor's mentioned is we're looking at May. Okay. That means it might be a little bit of an early summer for my kids, right? Or it might be early summer for my clients' kids. That is an opportunity, and that's something that we could begin creating on our creative side of what can families do at home. So I do want to say I I think this is now more of an opportunity than most. Is it grim? I don't think it's necessarily grim, but I do believe it's very opportunistic for those that are willing to put a little bit more of the extra work. And I think this community, I mean, this entire thing has been on for just over an hour, hour and a half pushing, and we haven't dropped below 80 people. The people that are on D, I hope to God that you create a little bit more of a community. Send as many resources that you have. I know you have a bunch of calculators. I got some stuff to share. We have some other courses that we've done before that aren't selling. I don't give a shit about your emails. We'll just send it on through, because down the line, if you enjoyed obviously these conversations, maybe you guys reach out and give us a high five or a like on Instagram, because I do almost anything for a like on Instagram.
That's awesome. No, absolutely. Again, this is the time where the people that are truly looking to pull together and just have mind share and understand, none of us have a real grasp 100% on what's happening, but we can do the best that we can to roll with the punches tomorrow for sure. That's what we're going to come out the other side with.
Absolutely.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. Do the best next thing. It's like that's all you got is, one step.
That's absolutely right. Hey, should we open up to a few questions? I know a few people stuck their hands up and they're raising their hands. I feel like you know that teacher that just ignores that kid. It's just like me, and they just keep talking. So let's have a look. If you guys have any questions, put it into. I can see one in the Q&A. Asked by Jeffrey. So what niches are you guys working in? What niches are we not working in? I mean, well, yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
We have beauty, skincare. We have male beauty, skincare. We have meal prep. We have straight apparel. We have workout gear. We have infant gear. Shit, what am I missing? And we have one consumable. So we're pretty much in, and we own a luxury jewelry brand, whereas we're pretty much just pure remarketing. Like that's it. If anything, we bump budgets a little bit on SEM, but that's it. So
nice.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much all the same: footwear, watches, hair care, like sports sets, wallets. I mean, yeah, like we're working with like 35 clients, so we have almost, I feel like, every vertical: CBD,
amazing.
Cannabis, all of the above.
Amazing. And tell us a bit about William Painter, Patrick.
Well, we are sunglasses, so we were pretty specific on our niche. But no, we're really just trying to. I think the biggest thing is we're heading into sunglass season with the perfect time for all of this to be going on. In no way, shape, or form. So I think really the biggest thing for us is just focusing on, as Chase saying, like, it's really doubling down on your existing customers. Anything, whether it's retargeting, which is, I mean, existing or not, but retargeting, lower funnel. We really focus on email strategy a lot. And I think that's something that helps us a ton in this time. Like you said, people are checking text, people are checking their emails. The more personal you are, the better. The more you're sharing, the better. And we found that drives, really your lifetime value or AOV. But I mean, both are kind of tied together. And that you're going to get customers that are coming back. They already trust you. They already know. They're willing to share more. So affiliates, things like that are really working well. So I think that, things that are, in that bottom to mid funnel range where you're not jumping top of funnel, blasting a full, kind of shotgun, top funnel campaigns, less, but but like Nick's saying, I mean, we're also, you're doing giveaways, you're doing things like that are really also, you're driving some top of funnel and it's not that expensive. So you get that in and you want to get that pixel. And once you have that, then you have time. And that's kind of what we're all looking for, is time, right?
Absolutely.
So I think it's really kind of getting people into that niche, and moving from there. So
amazing. Absolutely. So there's a question in here that I think is a really interesting one to to pose right now. It's from Prue. Anyone brave enough to advise us? What would you do if you had if you were a new D2C brand, dog brand, Australian based, no email list, minimal social following, just launching, about to begin running and testing Facebook, and then life happened with coronavirus. Cash available to spend is restricted, I guess, as with most startups, unless you're funded by Sequoia. We understand we lose money testing Facebook ads in the first few months, particularly. Yes, great prove that you understand the test phase, super important. But now we're worried this could be a money pit with no return. Anyone want to take this one? I've got my thoughts. I'd love to hear you guys' thoughts. Anyone? I see Nick already, like Jeopardy music playing in his head.
Yeah, I'll jump in. I personally don't think I'm the best person to answer this, but I really do think seeding the product with micro or kind of macro influencers right now to get content, right? Because you're probably not going to be able to get content otherwise. I know Nick had talked about that earlier. And seeing what kind of things you could work out with them for some distribution or some maybe on a rev share or an affiliate. So I typically wouldn't have normally said go to influencers, but just the way that was phased and just with the landscape, that's probably where my head's at, to try to drive traffic, to try to build that email list, to try to build that community. But again, I don't think I'm the right person to answer that.
Man, I have so many damn opinions on this, and I hope that you pull some nuggets out of this. When you have a brand new brand that launches, and you've done very, very well in the pet space specifically, you kind of come into it and you have an assumption of what your price point should be. Okay. And so right now you're going to get a lot of misdirection on what you think that you can get people to convert at, because it might not be your product, right? Yes. It might not be what's going on for you specifically. What you can kind of dive into deep is, and I kind of laid this out a little bit, not on this call, but before, is what are the angles and that you can start testing? Because Facebook, everyone looks at Facebook as a way of like, oh, that's an acquisition channel. Yes, it is. I believe Facebook is an acquisition channel, but Facebook is also a data buying channel that works like a microwave. Microwave, you put anything into it, choose the duration of time, it's going to make it hot. Same thing with Facebook. If you have a direction or if you have an angle pointing it at, it's going to find you and going to give you a little bit of details. Right now, it's the cheapest time to test. With that caveat, it's the hardest time to convert. So what I would think through is you're going to have to move up a little bit higher in the funnel, not necessarily saying like, don't look at purchases, don't look at carts, but you're going to have to look at what is getting the higher click-through right now for those, and what are potentially leading to, how would you say, an indication of there might be revenue here. And there's not an easy way of doing this. I'm sorry that I can't give you like, here's the roadmap, here's the map. I do know that this is the time to test. This is the time to at least spend some dollars directionally with a proper structure of knowing I'm going to test angles, and I'll refer to the brand that we work with called Miracle Sheets. Miracle Sheets is a silver linens. The people that we can target is anybody that buys for their home, but it's also someone that you don't have to wash this product specifically. If you don't have to wash the product, or you don't have to clean it as frequently, you can target moms that have busy lives. You can target bachelors that don't want to wash, and you can target housekeepers or those that are providing for a family. Those three are very separate, and those three should have the time and the understanding of they need individual copy and they need individual creative that goes into that. You have that time right now, and you have the ability to test those specific angles. That's on the ad side. Second, then we go to the site side. Right now, I believe it. Yes, I think we should be running to a normal e-commerce experience, because I do dislike when brands run to straight single pages, because you aren't able to build up a lot of audiences to kind of remarket off of. So I will always push people to build a normal traditional store so that you get homepage, collection, product, cart, etc. I wouldn't steer away from that. I would still build into your store and work your ass off to get it as fast as possible in this current time. If you have any specific questions, brother, like I'll brainstorm with you. I'll talk through it. I'll look through your shit. I do know, and I love the pet industry very much, as I have tattoos of my Frenchie all over my body. Amazing. Sorry, D.
No. It's hey man, in this current climate, you need to be very, very intentional and very effortful around launching a brand, especially if you've got limited resources. And it's funny. I say this to people all the time. You need to go, for people going into the testing mindset and have a restricted amount of money, then you need to walk to the table knowing where you need to, like, that's it. You're going to need to draw the line and go, I need to find out this data, market viability, pricing viability, etc. product market fit, whatever it might be, or messaging fit even. And then at a certain point, you need to go, this is chewing into X% of my capital. I need to restructure things a little bit if plan A doesn't work. You have your hypothesis and you got to move accordingly. So, absolutely, it's not a, it's something that you have to go in with your eyes wide open and just walk on through.
Fact.
Okay, there are a ton of questions. You guys are really stoking the fire here. Really, I'm going to rapid fire them. Let's go rapid fire because I want to stay respectful of you guys' time as well. And everyone live still with us, I really appreciate you guys for being here. I'll go into the Q&A. Nick already said he'll link to the Google Drive report. I'll make sure it reaches everyone. No problem there. Allie, hey, Allie, how are you doing? I haven't seen you in like ages. For Chase, with increasing the email frequency to 2x, are you seeing an increase in opt-outs?
Yes and no. It's slightly. I would say it's unfair to say that we are not at all. I would say it's at par or a little bit increased, but not to a point where it's scary or worrisome. Ways to combat that and ways that we're working around that is have different segments, right? So obviously everyone has their engaged segments, right? Whether that's a 60-day, a 90-day, 120, whatever it is. But also segment it further. Can you speak to different people in different geos, right? So on the West Coast, if it's warm here and you have products for warm weather, can you push products to people in California that are different than products in New York, right? I think that's one. Gender's another big one, right? So whether you're using Klaviyo or whether you have collected the data, you can get a sense of like who's a male and who's a female on your list. Send them gender-specific content, right? So if we send 4 times per week, 2 campaigns might still go to everyone. The other 2 campaigns might go to just men, might just go to just women. And also too, again, like the content that we're sending, I think is educational. I think it's engaging. I think it's funny. There's all these different things that are going into it that are different than just sales that I think people are more accepting and understanding and wanting to receive it. So long-winded, we're seeing a little bit. I think if you do it the wrong way, you're probably going to see a lot more opt-outs.
Amazing. Thank you, Chase. Now, I'm gonna, again, I want to stay respectful of time. So I'm gonna have to like start cherry picking these questions. Yeah.
Worst case, brother, you can put it in like a Google sheet. And
Exactly. That's exactly what we're gonna do after. What we're gonna do is we can take these and then we can start answering them, put them in the comments or something like that. I want to make sure questions get answered, and also the fact that if possible, I'd like to reassemble the Avengers in 3 weeks time and kind of laugh back at this and be like, we thought we knew what the fuck we were talking about. Oh boy. Or, hey, we were kind of right. So, it'd be interesting to see that as well. Now, there is one question that I would love to highlight and end off with. So, and Patrick, this goes to you. I think this is very much a mindset question that I think out of all the tactics and strategies, those are all great. But in this time right now, a clear mind and a focused mind is what we all need to understand how to navigate this from a personal practice and discipline standpoint. So the question comes from Ayub. He asks, or she asks, how do you stay focused and stoic throughout this, throughout this crisis, even though everywhere you look, people are talking about coronavirus and you're hitting every time you open Twitter, etc. That's everything people see, and it feels a bit alarmist. So Patrick, take us through the practice of stoicism and staying still and how to navigate this.
Yeah, and again, this is like I'm talking to myself here, so I'm giving myself pep talk. But no, I mean, I think that the biggest thing is talking with cohort groups like this, talking with your mentors, things like that. And really, again, like I said before, people that are very sure I don't think that anyone really is, but when they're honest that they're not very sure, those are the best people to talk to, because you can really then get a sounding board of communicating like, okay, I'm not really sure. We don't really know where we're going. We haven't really made any sound decisions. I mean, not sound decisions, but we haven't made any decisions that are going to kind of put a tent post in the ground, so to speak. So I think it's something that it really is taking it day by day, but remembering that it's, you have built a tribe. Everyone that's on this thing, everyone that's been, in this group, all these guys, somehow you built a group, you built a tribe, you have people that are purchasing product, that are selling product, that are doing all those things, and those things connect everyone. So it's kind of, we are connected in every way. So to me, the biggest way to be stoic is kind of remembering the interconnectedness of all of us, that we must, it's like, you must remain, you got to get all Churchill on this shit or something, it's like you really want to never give up. Right. Like, and it's something that's where I think the rubber meets the road for every single brand, marketer, advertiser. It doesn't matter what you're doing. The rubber meets the road, and at some point when that happens, the question is, do you serve and service people, or do you take and pull? And so I think that the staying stoic in knowing that you're doing the best you can, and knowing that there is no known, means that everything is kind of out there for you. And as long as you're choosing it based, you have a lens that you view things through, and then you have an equation that you use to make that decision, and then you have the outcome of that decision, lens, equation, and then the equals decision. And those things have a massive ripple effect on your business, your life, everyone around you. And I think that staying calm and making sure that, like, it's the Tim Ferriss said it forever ago, it's like, when you think about something, who will die right now, right this very second, if I make this decision or don't, and so the odds 99.9% of the time, no one. And so if you can be calm and make a decision based on your lens in a proper form, and not a panicked, what is everyone else doing? So if you're just looking at Twitter and Instagram and every email that you're getting, COVID update, it's going to continue all the time, and that's not going to stop. So sitting around and talking about the same thing in circles does not help you.
Yes.
Talking with mentors, being alone, being still, it's hard and painful and all those things, but you have to do it. And then really focusing on who you are, writing your goals, writing those things. We have a lot of time to sit with ourselves, think. And once we do that, you get to really kind of see the lens you're making decisions through. So it gives you that distance on your vision. You actually have time, more than you think, because everyone's so shell shocked. You actually have more time. And that's why I think Stoic philosophy, things like that. I mean, you read any of these guys, but I mean, I look to those things because no one that we've ever met has ever lived through anything like this. But there are people who might have been emperors and might have been kings or whatever it are that were stoic in this, and this was like, you had to be stoic for months because it was of one thing. We're talking about being calm for 24 hours or an hour. Like, that's a small order. So I think that being very calm and understanding and looking at your goals and readjusting and making sure that you're just in the right headspace when you make a decision. And I think that's the number one thing you can do is you have to check yourself every single day. And that's why you guys talking to each other, we all talking to each other, it's something that you're able to get a sounding board of, I'm not sure, or I am sure, but you got to be able to have something that comes back at you, because without that, you get in your own little echo chamber, and that can create a real quick downward spiral of decisions that you can make. It can affect a lot of things that kind of will domino from there, I think. So just being safe and calm.
Amazing. Guys, I want to thank you so much for taking the time today to talk our audience and myself through this. I've learned so much. I'm so happy to call you guys friends and industry peers. And audience, if you appreciate their time, please reach out to them, make a comment, make sure you say thanks. We appreciate each and every one of you for being here and for spending your attention here. If there are any questions, this really is the time to come together. And I really appreciate the mind share that we have here. It's time to roll with the punches. It's time to reach out to that peer, reach out to just other people in your game, even other people outside your game, just so that you have a sounding board there. And keep yourself in check. Like Patrick said, check yourself every day. For those of you that have never faced a physical manifestation of adversity, this is as close as you're going to get, right? This is a threat that's, because it's an unknown, that's why it is a threat. Then it is just steeling yourself, staying calm, focusing in, and understanding the path forward. There are so many great tactics shared here. I really want to thank you guys so much. This ends episode 1. I'm so happy that we managed to kick off episode 1. Episode 2 is gonna get locked and loaded soon. We've got a whole bunch more great minds, just like the guys that you're seeing here, to join us week on week. And fingers crossed I can make schedules align, because we're all out and about and busy and going for walks and going to the gym and visiting restaurants. We'll see if we can realign this in 3 to 4 weeks time and see how we go there.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Steve.
Amazing. Thank you all so much. I appreciate you.
Thanks, everyone. Appreciate it.
Nice.